It is time for another edition of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarich, and it's time for part 2 of our Ahsoka primer. Last week, we dove into the wonderful character of Ahsoka Tano, her history, what makes her so special, as well as a anticipated big villain for this series and force beyond in Star Wars for the next few years, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Today, we are going to focus on another big part of the series, the Rebels. A lot of people have called this Season 5 of Star Wars Rebels, including Dave Filoni has alluded to it as that, so we know it's going to be heavily included. We've seen these characters in the trailers, and we're going to dive into part 2 of our Ahsoka primer, focusing on them, followed by one of the most fun drafts I think we will ever have done on the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm so excited about this one. Joined, as always, by one of my best buddies, one of the greatest writers and editors in the damn industry, Adam Blevins. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Well, thank you first off for paying me such a delightful compliment right there. I wasn't expecting that. I really appreciate it. I know I'm super excited though, filling out Ahsoka last week and then into it this week, and then next week we can finally start talking about the show. I mean, I couldn't be happier. We got a special draft plan tonight too. We're gonna have a really, really good time, man. I'm really excited.
Joined as well today, we got a all agents show today. No outside guests, just family only today. Host of the Fandom Academy podcast and the person who is going to be writing the spoiler-free review of the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka, Layla. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be back. I think the last time I was here was also for a Star Wars episode because it was for the Mandalorian Season 3 finale, which simultaneously feels like a week ago. And also, I think I've lived like 100 lives since then, so I don't know what's going on with time right now. But I'm very excited for a new Star Wars show to be here. We have so much to talk about. It's going to be a very exciting few weeks getting to watch the show. And yeah, and I love a good draft. I get very competitive and very sensitive and very unserious, so I'm very excited.
Competitive and unserious is a perfect combo, I think, for these types of situations. Joined as well, another fellow agent, host of the Agents of Fandom Comic Corner on YouTube, Damon. How you doing, my man?
I am doing dandy. I am having a lovely day. It's been a lovely evening. I am glad to be here for the first draft that has the Comic Corner seal of approval on it. It's about time.
We've had a lot of drafts, and this is the first one we've ever included Damon in. So excited to dive into this one. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and also make sure you're subscribed to the Agents Fandom podcast wherever you get your pods. Give us a nice 5-star rating. Leave us a nice little review. But we got a big show today, so let's dive into it. If you want to learn more about the characters of Ahsoka Tano and Grand Admiral Thrawn, check out our episode last week with Thomas Carter Rochester. But today, we are focusing on the Rebels. This Star Wars Rebels is my favorite content in all of Star Wars. The last 2 episodes of Season 2 is my favorite arc in all of Star Wars, obviously highlighting Ahsoka Tano. Adam, I want to throw this to you first. What's your relationship with the Rebels? Who are your favorite characters amongst the group? And what about this show is special to you?
That's a great question. Well, so my relationship to the characters really just started, I don't know, in the last couple of months. I think right after The Mandalorian ended, I picked up my first watch of Rebels, and then I made it to about halfway through season 3, and I can't remember, something distracted me. You know how that goes when you're trying to watch a 3 or 4 season show. You can kind of tail off and pick back up. But a couple weeks ago, I picked everything back up, and I finished it in which is unusual for me, I finished it in 4 or 5 days. Usually I'm one of those people that is a very sparse watch. I space everything out really, but I finished it in 3 or 4 days. So I really, really enjoy this show is really special because what they do with these characters and writing a big group of characters like this and keeping them through one consistent arc is really, really difficult, especially for Star Wars, where you trace things back to something like the Clone Wars. And it's 3 episode chunks, and then they move on to the next. And I was kind of hoping, I had no idea. I mean, I knew you guys all really, really loved Rebels, so I was excited to get into it. I mean, you guys, nothing but glowing recommendations. But I wasn't really sure how they were going to handle the structure of everything. And when I got into it halfway through season 1, I kind of realized, this is going to follow the same set of characters and have some different people coming and going. but following the same set of characters and stuff, I was really really excited about that, and I think they do a great job with it. But as far as my favorite character, really just one or two for me. I got to say, Kanan. Kanan is up there as somebody that I was like, I had a tough time kind of coming around to in the beginning, which like a lot of them, like I kind of had not a tough time coming around to, maybe not, but like they definitely didn't make it easy, especially Kanan and Ezra. Like in the beginning, they don't make it easy to love them. And then by the end, I'm like, if anything happens to these characters, like I'm gonna fucking hurl myself out a window because I love them all so much. I mean, Zeb's great. I could go on and on about every single character, but the two that stand out for me are definitely Kanan and Ezra. But I'm really excited to see all these characters translate into live action and see what they do with it. But you know, the show as itself, the show as a whole is really really special. I mean, they did something really special with that.
I love the mixture we have with Adam just having it's fresh in his mind. He just watched this show for the first time. Layla, you love Rebels as well, but you brought up you haven't seen it for a while. You were kind of watching it as it came out, if I'm not mistaken. So, same question to you. What are your thoughts on these characters, and why is this show special to you?
Well, the first time I actually watched Rebels was kind of as I was diving into The Mandalorian for the first time. I was a late watcher of The Mandalorian, but when I kind of learned more about the Darksaber and kind of how I would find out more about that in Rebels, I dove right into it. And Sabine is definitely one of my favorite characters in the Rebels, and just kind of the whole arc of the Darksaber in kind of like late season 3, early season 4, and her kind of like training with the Darksaber, and it had me fully convinced that she was going to show up in The Mandalorian season 3, which I think a lot of us shared a similar theory on that. But did it happen? No, and I was a bit good, but yeah, and just having the connection I have to the character of The Mandalorian, obviously, but that show kind of expanding my like interest and love of Mandalorian lore and them as a people and their planet and the history of their planet. So just getting to learn more about kind of Sabine's past and her family and everything like that. That was definitely one of my favorite parts. But every single character in Rebels is so special and so unique to any other Star Wars thing ever. It's one of my favorite things. I'm long overdue a rewatch of Rebels, definitely. But I'm very excited for Ahsoka to kind of dive into some of these characters that we're getting in live action now. I'm so excited for it. And yeah, it's a very special show, and I love it a lot.
I just did a rewatch with Ava a few months ago. It was her first time watching the show, and I already now want to do another watch through because it's so incredible, and you catch things you didn't notice before each times. And I'm with you. The Mandalorian arc is one of my favorites. You learn so much, not just about Sabine Wren, but her family and all of Mandalorian culture. You get your Bo-Katan hopping back in, and a bunch of our favorite characters from live action as well. That's why I love Rebels. My favorite character is Ahsoka. My second favorite character is Sabine. My third favorite character is Harrison Dula. And so this show just kind of gets all of my favorites in there. Damon, you and I have been kind of riding with Star Wars animation from day one. We've been right at leading the charge of trying to convince as many people as possible to watch this show. What is it about Rebels that you love so much?
I mean, you and I have very similar tastes in characters and storylines and plot lines, just entertainment. So yeah, for me, when it comes to favorite Star Wars characters, Ahsoka's number one, and then it is also followed by Sabine, and then it is also followed by. Hey, no, I'm kidding. It's canon on that one. But I think what makes Rebels that much more. What works for me with Rebels is that it's easier to get into than Clone Wars. I think Clone Wars takes a hot minute for it to really pick up. Rebels,
Yeah.
by the end of the first season, you're attached. And I think it does a much better job about you getting more comfortable with these characters, with this family, really, on a much quicker level. So that to me is what makes Rebels stand out from the rest. And then from there, because you are around this core group of characters, unlike Clone Wars where you're bouncing around, it's like, oh, who's this episode going to be about this week? It just puts them in different scenarios and it really explores like the world at that moment, which is really interesting. And I just love it for that. And you have Lothcats. I mean, how can you not like a show that doesn't have Lothcats?
The wolf cats are incredible. I always feel like my dog Sonic kind of looks like one when he puts his ears up in the air and they just like pop up high like that. Another reason to be watching in video form and catch us either live on Twitch. Shout out to all the people who are live with us right now. And if you can't catch us live, make sure you check out the video format on YouTube as well. Hit that like button. And it's like you guys said, it's Star Wars Rebels is so much easier to get into than Clone Wars. The linear aspect of it makes the storytelling a lot more easy to follow.
Mhm.
And it does such a perfect job of balancing, this is our core group of characters. This is who we're focusing on. This is our family. But we're also going to mix and match in all these different huge characters from Star Wars lore. Ahsoka Tano is going to be a main portion. Darth Vader is going to be a main portion. Darth Maul is going to be a main portion. You'll see Obi-Wan Kenobi throughout. And it's just like, it's a really, really incredible how they weave these things in, but still focus on the main characters. The next thing I want to talk about is less looking back at the past, but towards the future with Ahsoka. And these two characters specifically will go on first because they've been the focus of the trailers so far. And it's Sabine Wren, the apprentice of Ahsoka Tano. We see her calling Ahsoka Master, and her wielding a lightsaber in the trailers. And additionally, Hera has been a big part as well, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. These are the two characters I want to focus on the most. But another thing I think is really cool is in none of these trailers do we get to see any mention or sight of Zeb. We see no Zeb. But where do we see Zeb? We saw Zeb in The Mandalorian. And so I think it's really cool how it's like Rebel Season 5, people are saying that's what Ahsoka is. I'm kind of hoping that Mando Season 3 eventually kind of turns into, or 4, I guess, turns into Rebel Season 6. And it's like, oh, Mando's going to be interacting with Sabine because she actually has a hell of a lot in common with Grogu. They're going to interact with Hera. Zeb is going to be on both teams. Zeb's going to be helping out Din, and Zeb's going to be helping out the Rebels and introducing him. That's kind of what I'm hoping for here. But Adam, I want to throw this to you. Sabine and Hera. These are the two characters we're kind of expecting to be the biggest, have the biggest impact from Rebels in Ahsoka. Sabine, one thing we didn't really know from her time in Rebels was that she may or may not be somewhat Force sensitive. They don't really touch on that much in Rebels outside of her training with the Darksaber, of course, because it's the Mandalorian weapon. But now in Ahsoka, we see her with Ezra's lightsaber, Ezra's green lightsaber, or so we assume, because who else's lightsaber would it be? What do you think we're going to see from Sabine in this series? Do you think she's Force sensitive? What kind of arc are you hoping to get out of her?
Well, I think it was the second trailer that we got, not the first one from Star Wars Celebration, but I think it was the second one. Near the end, she like holds her hand out while she's holding the lightsaber, and then it cuts away from it really, really quick. I remember the first time I saw it, I had to do like a double tap. I was like, wait, what? Sabine? Did I miss something with that? Because then like I'm watching through Rebel, and I think at that point, I just picked back up with my watch of Rebels, and I was in season 3, and I was like, I feel like I haven't seen anything that alludes to her being Force sensitive. And I was like, but maybe that's coming in the end. TJ, you and I had to talk about that because you said you didn't want to spoil anything for me. And I was like, oh, I already know she's Force sensitive. And then I got in the show and I was like, wait, she's not. Or the show doesn't say it. So maybe she's not. I don't know. But I feel like she has to be, just kind of given some of the stuff, or maybe on a different level. Like a comparison that I've been thinking about a lot with her is like, not Poe, Finn. I don't know why his name escaped me for a second right there. It's like, we see Finn use the Force in all kinds of different ways. That's not necessarily just wielding a lightsaber and throwing people around, like things like different feelings and stuff like that. And I think that might be something like we get from her. I'd be surprised if by the end of this series, she's using like a skilled Force wielder and doing all these crazy things like Ezra is capable of and like Ahsoka is capable of, because I just don't really think that's part of her character. I don't really think she needs that. That's just not something that I think really adds to her. She's perfect. She's great as she is, and there's all kinds of other avenues that you can go with her. So I'm not really going to be upset if they choose to do that. As long as they handle it right, I think it'll be okay. And I trust Filoni with these characters absolutely. And then as far as Hera goes, I'm really excited to see more of her, like what her life was like, because towards the second half of Rebels, she was just a pure, general, and she was like in charge of this whole little corner of the rebellion. She went from mostly just being in charge of these like 4 or 5 people to now having like a whole army that looked up to her, and that she was in charge of looking after. So I'm kind of excited to see where they take her now that obviously the rebellion's over. I know we're leading into what the new emperor, whatever it's called. I lose track of all the different names for all these things, that whatever that turns into the first order that they're going into now. But to see what her role in that organization is going to be, and because she's not. I mean, obviously we know where they're at now, and then it's going to end up turning into the first order. But I'm really excited to see where they take that, and to show her role just kind of in how everything's going to play out.
I think Sabine and Finn is a really great comparison. I think another one of those people you could maybe throw out there is somebody like the guy from Rogue One, whose name I don't remember, but the blind guy with I'm one with the Force is with me. I really like the idea of them diving in Star Wars further into the concept that the Force exists in every living being. Maybe Anakin Skywalker has more midichlorians than even Master Yoda, but who cares about midichlorian counts? It's more about just your ability to find balance and be one with the Force, and I would really love if they dive into that more. Layla, how about you? What are you kind of hoping to see from Sabine Wren in the future?
I completely back everything you guys have said. If anything is going to happen and she does turn out to be Force sensitive, I trust Dave Filoni with my life. That's it. But I feel like it could be very cool to kind of have a moment, even if it's just like a split second where it kind of hints at her using the Force, even for like a second, and then just kind of like leaving us with that. And then even if they never expand on it ever again, whatever, we just know that she's had this little moment. And like you've mentioned with the lightsaber, in my head it says Riz lightsaber. I don't care. And just like I want her to just be kicking ass this season. That's all I want. That's all I ever want from these things. I just want to see hot people kicking ass. That's all I need. And I bring this up at any opportunity, but that weekend at Star Wars Celebration when they brought out the cast and they played that trailer, that was one of the highlights of my entire experience at Star Wars Celebration. Just being in that room, everyone losing their collective shite when that trailer played was just the best thing ever. And just seeing everyone's enthusiasm for this show, everyone has such different expectations, everyone has such different theories. Literally anything could happen. But yeah, I'm excited, and I have such high hopes for Sabine in live action. I feel like this could be really well executed, and I'm very excited for it.
Hot people kicking ass is a pretty good tagline for the Ahsoka
Yeah.
series, and really all of Star Wars television, if we're being honest. All of Star Wars. They don't really get it wrong very often. It's pretty just
No.
consistently hot people and, cool aliens kicking ass. It's the two of those mixed into one. Sabine is a character that is just so much more clouded than most Star Wars characters. I feel like I really empathize with her because she's so internally conflicted at all times, and I have a really loud inner monologue, and I just I resonate with that in Sabine, where she really hasn't done a great job throughout her history of being calm, being balanced, and so I could see some type of moment with her, us getting that can she do something in this series of just when her finally finding some peace, finding some balance? Damon, what are you hoping we get out of Sabine Wren in this series? What does the series need to do the character justice, and what are you kind of hoping for?
I'd be okay if she wasn't Force sensitive. I think it would actually be kind of cool with whole Ahsoka's entire perception of the Jedi Order and what she thinks Jedi Order should be. Maybe she thinks there should be a Jedi that isn't Force sensitive. Give me that thought. I think that would be really interesting, especially coming from somebody of Mandalorian descent like her. But to give Sabine justice would, Layla put it very bluntly, hot people kicking ass, right?
Exactly.
That's it. But in reality, Sabine, with how Mandalore is at the state of where it is since the end of season 3 of The Mandalorian, I don't think that can be fully explored in the Ahsoka show. This is Ahsoka's show, right? If we want to see more of Sabine and her kind of coming to terms with what Mandalore is now and what being Mandalorian is, I think that should be explored in season 4 of The Mandalorian, not in Ahsoka's show.
They're just right. There really seems like a potential untapped great storyline between Din, Grogu, and Sabine, where who possibly better to understand what the two of them are going through? Somebody who has been exiled from the Mandalorians and then tried to lead and then gave up the dark saber to somebody else, somebody who works with Jedi and also Mandalorian, someone who wields a lightsaber and wears Beskar. She aligns with them so perfectly. I would really love to see it. We obviously see, I can't remember the droid's name from the Ahsoka trailers, but we know that that type of droid, they helped create lightsabers with the Jedi and with the Padawan from the
Huyang.
time of Buyang. Thank you. From the time of the Jedi Order. Huyang. Buyang.
There you go.
There,
Huyang. Yeah.
Huyang. And one of the things that we know about him is that he built lightsabers. So what I would love to see is either after Sabine one day returns the lightsaber to Ezra, or maybe he has his own now, and maybe she just turns this into her own. I'd love to see her turn that saber into the new dark saber, because we saw the dark saber get destroyed in Mandalorian. It seems weird for them to have focused on it so much and then just go bang, it's destroyed. No, don't worry about that anymore. I think if Sabine, somebody who is the weapons creator, who is a Mandalorian, who is fighting with the lightsaber, were to create the new dark saber that eventually gets maybe passed on to Grogu one day, who knows? I think that would be an incredible arc in the future and something I'm really hoping for. So we have a long draft coming, and so for the sake of not having this be a 2-hour long podcast, I'm going to rip through some of the Hera and Ezra stuff, and then all three of you feel free to add in anything you would like afterwards, and we can then just get into the draft. But one of the reasons why Hera Syndulla is one of my favorite characters is, to me, she is the ultimate leader in Star Wars. There's so many people, whether it be Yoda, who led the Jedi Order, actually a pretty terrible leader. Great Jedi, pretty terrible leader. Mace Windu,
Thank you.
great Jedi, even worse of a leader. So many people throughout Star Wars are just awful. And to me, Hera is the polar opposite of the main villain of Rebels and the main villain of the upcoming Star Wars time period, Thrawn. Thrawn is cold. Thrawn is calculated. Thrawn is logical. So is Hera, but Hera is just the ultimate leading based on gut, leading based on heart. She does what she believes is right. She does what she feels is right. She supports her friends. Yeah, there's the odd time, just like everybody, that she's grieving or she's stressed, and it's not the best. But she is, to me, one of the very strongest leaders in all of Star Wars. I really hope she gets to fully come into that role, whether it be Ahsoka, Mandalorian, just the future of Star Wars here, as one of the top people in the New Republic. And she's also one of the best damn pilots you will ever meet. Comparable, whether you wanted to compare it to Poe, to Han Solo, to me, these are the people that, like, they're all kind of in the same tier of pilots, and Hera's name definitely belongs alongside of them. For those who have not finished Rebels yet, you got 5 seconds here to hit the mute button, and then I'm going to dive into something. Look at my hands here. I'm going to wave my hands for those watching in video. That's when you can come back in. For those who are listening in podcast form, just give me about a minute. I'm going to dive into some Rebels spoilers here. Hera obviously has the on-again, off-again, will they, won't they relationship with Kanan Jarrus throughout the entirety of the Star Wars Rebels, and it's one of the most beautiful stories in the series. Now, obviously, that does not, for those who didn't get a chance to quite meet it in time, obviously that doesn't go great. It comes with a maybe not so happy storybook ending here. But one of the things with Hera's character that I am most excited to see here is she has a son that we know absolutely fucking nothing about since the conclusion of Rebels. And I'm really, really excited to get to see his potential future arc, because a force sensitive son of a general who's probably has some amazing pilot instincts. I think that could be a really exciting arc as well. So I can't wait to see some Jason Syndulla in the future. Unmute everybody. Rebels, in-depth spoilers are good. You're good to come back in. I want to talk about, speaking of spoilers, I want to talk about Ezra Bridger. And I'll give you another spoiler warning before we dive into Ezra Bridger. But, you know, Brandon Moore, one of our fellow agents and just one of the most amazing people you will ever meet, he brought up a great point. Like, I finally get why he's doing his Rebels rewatch right now, and he's saying, like, I finally get why everybody loves Ezra. I finally get why everybody loves Sabine. Ezra is one of those characters more than most that just, like, you first meet him and he's a little shit. Like, he is a little asshole. He doesn't listen. He's spoiled. He always thinks he knows best. But he grows so much through these 4 seasons and goes from little shit who doesn't listen to anything to one of the more morally responsible Jedi I think that we have. Somebody who, similar to Ahsoka Tano, doesn't give a damn about the institutions and doesn't give a damn about the rules. He only cares about people. And not just people, but other creatures. Something we see more and more of since we've gotten away from Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker as the main storytelling protagonists in Star Wars, is for those two, right? It was, what's their thing? Their thing is they're the GOAT. They're the strongest. They are the most force sensitive and they're chosen ones, right? Well, we get to see some cool things with Rey, where Rey gets to heal. Rey heals people with the Force like it's nothing. That's not something we get to see from everybody. That's a unique characteristic that Rey has, and I'm sure some others as well, to heal people with the Force. For those fans of Star Wars Fallen Order and Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Cal Kestis, he has the ability to sense these Force echoes and really look back at the past, deep into the past, in ways that a lot of other Jedi can't. It's not just that he's meditating and he's trying to sense what happened. It's that he full on sees these things like they're Loki doing a projection, messing around with a little play. And there's so many different characters that have these specific ways they're in tune with the Force. And for Ezra, I think he has one of the very coolest. It's nature. It's animals. It's why the Lothcats are so important throughout Star Wars Rebels. And all of the animals, Ezra has a way to in tune with nature and feel the Force within other living beings, not just himself, in ways that other characters can't. And so, one more time, hit that mute button for those who, Star Wars Rebels spoilers. Quick 30-second wave of my hands. I'll give you another hand wave when it's back up. But obviously, another tragic arc throughout Star Wars Rebels is Kanan and Ezra, and Master and Apprentice. And at the beginning, Ezra's a shitty student. Kanan is a shitty teacher. And by the end, Kanan is one of the best Jedi teachers that we have seen of any of them. And Ezra, it becomes one of the more exceptional Padawan learners that we have seen in a really long time in Star Wars lore. And so the two of their relationships is so incredible. I can't wait to see how Ezra takes Kanan's teachings and potentially passes those on to maybe somebody like a Jason Syndulla, as he becomes Jason's master to his apprentice in the future as well. That would be another arc that I think would be incredible to visit. And we don't know where the hell Ezra is right now. Damon, you got a point? Hit me with it.
Yeah, I mean, Ezra's great, and I love Ezra, but we can't put down the fact that Ezra has dabbled with the dark side. And that is part of the thing that does make Ezra a cool guy and a cool Jedi, is that he does dabble a little bit in the dark side and was tempted by it and was swayed by it and was taught a little bit from Maul himself. Now, in the end, he did shy away from it and put that away. But that is inside of him a little bit. And that's why, some people like Cal Kestis as well, is because he has a little bit of that in him too. But Ezra's not perfect. But that is, again, a reason why a lot of people like him.
And it makes one of the situations cooler when he's standing up right to Darth Vader, who obviously he pales in comparison to him strength-wise. But Anakin, obviously somebody who was tempted by the dark side and was converted and failed to stay with the light. Ezra's been tempted multiple times, even though he's not as strong with the Force. He's not as great of a lightsaber fighter. Not good of anything as Anakin. He was better at resisting that dark side and staying the light. And so it makes one of those when he's talking shit to Darth Vader and telling him he's not afraid of you and afraid of him, and Darth Vader delivers one of the coldest lines in Star Wars, as he does all the time he's on screen: "Then you will die braver than most." I love that one so much.
That was pretty good.
Thank you so much. I can't maintain it for long periods of time, but if I only have to deliver one line, I can usually get voices okay. Spoilers done. Dive back in. No more spoilers. Come on in. Adam, Layla, do you have anything else you would like to add? And I guess Damon too. You added something about Ezra, but if you have more, you want to add it about Hera. Anything about those two characters you would love to dive into before we start one of the coolest drafts we have done on the podcast?
The only thing I'll add is just to kind of tack on to what you said, that it's like, he really is a little shit in those first, like really the whole first season. I remember texting you and Garrett, TJ, and being like, look, I'm trying really hard, but I don't know how many more missions I can sit here and watch this man fuck up. Like in the beginning, it's like, I know he's such a proactive, like, it's funny because, he goes from in the beginning such a proactive fuck up. Like he just enjoys going out and fucking everything up. And then by the end, he's like a proactive like learner and like a great leader and stuff like that too. So, but like, I just want to echo that, like, for people that are just going to like start getting started watching the show, just be patient with a lot of the characters, but especially Ezra in the beginning. I promise you will learn to love him in time.
Filoni shows do a good job with that. I mean, Ahsoka was fairly annoying in the early seasons, and it was because of the same thing, arguably. Like Ahsoka and Ezra had very similar beginnings, thinking they knew more than they did. And that's why I think the two of them really had a little bond in the few moments they shared together. But that's, I think, one of the reasons why Ahsoka's really looking for him now.
Who wins in a one-on-one fight tournament? Season 4 pre-disappearance, so however he's trained in the meantime, we don't know. So this is just Rebels. Season 4, Ezra, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Cal Kestis, and Clone Wars, not Rebels, but Clone Wars, End of Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano.
Cal Kestis.
End of
Cal.
I actually might, if it's like season 7 Clone Wars, I might take Ahsoka over Cal.
I got Ahsoka, then Cal, then Ezra.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I think that's where I'm at with that too. I mean, Cal, I don't know though. Once Cal gets that dark side in him, he really, he's a problem. That's a really good question. I don't know. Those two, that would be I know we'll never see that probably, but like that would be an awesome fight.
It's tough with Cal too to like compare him to others, because he's the only one that it's like, well, that was us, that was me doing it, so of course Cal's the strongest, right? You know how much work I put in to make sure Cal was the strongest, and so that's one of the reasons I think it's kind of tough to compare them a little bit. But let's dive into this draft, because in the spirit of Star Wars Rebels, we're gonna build our own Rebel style squad. So we have Kanan and Ezra, two Force wielders, the Master and the Apprentice. We were gonna have the same on our team: two Force wielders, a Master and an Apprentice. They don't have to necessarily be a Jedi Master by according to the order. No, this is just how we like to do it. We got a droid, because every Rebel squad needs themselves a droid. We got a pilot, because as we know, in Star Wars, it's not all lightsaber fighting. Most of it is wars in space. If it's not politics, it's pew 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 as we are flying through space with our shuttles. And it's important to have a pilot who can navigate through asteroid fields and get into hyperspace jumps at the perfect moments, and they don't crack under pressure. We need the Dom Toretto and the Brian O'Connor of pilots. People who don't crack under pressure. And of course, we got some wild cards because not everyone is a pilot, not everyone is a force wielder, not everyone is our droids. We have so many great, amazing Star Wars characters that contributed to the rebellion that don't fit into these categories. Our Zebs, Zeb Aurelios, our Chewbacca's, and various other characters who don't necessarily fit into force wielders or droids or pilots. A total of 6 people per team. So 6 rounds. We will do a snake draft, and we are drafting characters who have been on screen in Star Wars canon. So no legends, no books that are canon. Sorry, they still don't count, Damon. You're not getting anybody from the High Republic. We're gonna wait till we learn more about these characters on screen. Damon, quit your bitching. It's gonna be fine. And then I'm sorry, I don't know, I got carried away. And
This is
then,
already getting heated, and we've been here for 2 seconds. I'm so stressed right now.
and then we're gonna go 6 rounds, drafting snake order, characters that we have seen either in live action, animation, in video games that are canon, and we have seen on our own screens. If you think somebody has a great pick, let us know in chat. If you think somebody has a terrible pick, let us know in chat. And of course, when the draft is all done, we're going to post it all over the Agents of Fandom socials, at Agents Fandom on Twitter and TikTok, Agents of Fandom everywhere else, for you to vote on your favorite squads, that the team that would do the best to take down the Empire. We have randomized the draft order, and how it worked out is with the first pick, we have Layla. With the second pick, we have Damon. With the third pick, we have Adam, and I will be final pick in the first round, fourth with the snake, wrapping it around for the first one in the second round. Without further ado, Layla, take us away with the first pick in the draft. How are you going to start off your own Rebel team?
Well, back in April, I went to a little event and I met a certain someone, and I gave him a big fat hug and I told him how much I loved his character. So, my first pick is obviously, I have to get him off the board. It's Anakin. He is going to be my master, whatever you want to say. He is my force wielder master. I'm taking him off the board. None of you can have him. Thank you and good night.
The most powerful character in the history of Star Wars canon, at least in terms of the stuff that we're drafting out of today. I gotta say, I'm surprised. I didn't think you would be going there. I mean, Adam's a big fan of The Mandalorian too. I don't know, maybe he gets there at some point, but the fact that Din Djarin was not Layla's first overall pick.
I thought it had to be a force wielder.
No, you get to pick them in any order you want.
Oh no, she's devastated.
Okay, I did not poorly. I poorly communicated that before we began. You get to pick these people in any order you want, so you get to reselect all over the place. So, does that amend your pick? No.
Oh no.
Sticking with Anakin Skywalker, the most powerful character off the board, number 1 as the Master. Damon, who do you got with pick number 2?
Well, if we are picking a team of rebels, I am certainly not going with the man that caused the Empire to, happen. But I will take his apprentice. That's my pick.
God.
I mean, if you're picking rebels, you're going to pick the leader of the rebels here. Like, come on.
Is Ahsoka your master, or is she your apprentice?
Ahsoka is my master.
Great choice. I was hoping there'd be a maybe chance I could get her at 4 if people were just going strength and not, popularity and enjoyment of the character. I guess not. Adam, who do you got with your first overall pick, third overall?
I'm in a blender over here because one, I was certain that Layla was going to take the Mandalorian, and I knew I was like,
the rules, Adam.
Well, you had the chance to change it. Oh. I knew I was either going to get Anakin or Ahsoka because I was like, one of these two are going to fall to me because Layla's going to pick the Mandalorian. Oh, I think this is hard, right? Because we've got a lot of categories.
The main Star Wars character is still available here.
Well,
we've named all of them. They're gone.
If I'm building out a really, really good team, I'm going to need a good, grounded, solid leader and a great teacher. And I'm going to take Kanan with my first pick to kind of lead the team, to train whoever ends up being my mentor. I know he's going to get the absolute best out of them. He's going to trust them and the rest of the team to come up with a great plan and probably help come up with a great plan himself. I'm going to take Kanan with my first pick in the first round.
Well, how I really hope this would go is, Layla takes Din with the first one, and then Damon takes Damon takes Anakin with number 2, and then I was hoping Adam would go, well, I guess I have to pick Luke Skywalker because that's the next strongest character in all of Star Wars behind Anakin. I wanted to go all girl squad, and I wanted Ahsoka, and I was going to run it back with my next pick here after. But instead, I will go with my Force-wielding master, my Jedi master on this team. I will go with Luke Skywalker, even though I don't really like him, because he is damn Luke Skywalker. And
I hate him. I'm sorry.
He will help everybody's teams. And his apprentice is going to be another Skywalker, Rey Skywalker. I'm going to take the two of them off the board with my first 2 picks. I wanted to go Ahsoka and Rey, but I'm okay with Luke and Rey as my squad to help take down the Empire.
Oof. Those are 2 really good picks. I think I'm deciding between 2 for a mentor here, but I think I'm going to go with Cal Kestis, somebody that has always kind of struggled with like having a really, really good teacher. Like, I mean, I know Seer was a good teacher at times, but then obviously they had their kind of split, and Seer's got all of her own stuff going on with everything going on in her past. So I think if you give Cal Kestis a teacher like Kanan, I mean, I've already just got an incredible recipe for success with that, I think. So I'm taking Cal Kestis.
I like it. 2 good characters. I will say we're lucky we're not fighting each other, because I think like just one of mine could take those 2 in a 1v2 fight. But it's against the Empire. It's not against each other. We don't got to worry about that. Damon,
Okay.
Who do you got with your second round pick? I had to get some trash talking in.
Well,
That's
I like
crazy.
I mentioned it earlier, but I like a guy that has a little bit of dark side in him, but he could really use somebody to push him through it, and that's Ezra. That is the perfect apprentice for Ahsoka.
It's pretty darn
Good
good.
duo.
I don't mind it whatsoever. I thought the way you were saying a little bit of dark side, I thought maybe we were going to go power. I thought maybe you'd put some Ben Solo in there as your pick, the way you were talking dark side. But Ezra, we got a lot of our favorite characters off the board here. Layla, who do you got with your second round pick? He fell.
Well, what a silly question. Now I know I can go in any order I fucking want. One of my wild cards is gonna be I don't know if this will shock people, okay? I'm gonna throw a spanner in the works here, okay? I'm gonna draft Din Djarin.
Oh my God. And the people were shocked.
Everyone's mind is blown. And I have a sneak pick, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna draft my second boyfriend as my pilot, and that is gonna be Poe Dameron. I am so happy that all of you respected my wishes. Thank you very much. I'm so happy I would like to thank Pedro Pascal and Oscar Isaac for making this moment happen. I just, Poe Dameron is just one of the best pilots ever. He'll just get me out of any situation. Then I would have, if we were going in order, like this was in my brain, if we were going in order, I wouldn't have, I was originally going to pick him as my pilot because I thought, he could like jump out and start fighting, but according to TJ, they have to be locked in the cockpit or whatever. So that couldn't happen. So, but yeah, no, I'm very happy with that. I have Din and Poe on my team, all my boys together, and I'm very happy with that.
Layla's gamble paid off. Not only does she get one of the top wild cards and, of course, one of the top pilots who are her 2 favorite characters in all of Star Wars, but she also started off with the strongest character in all of Star Wars. It's a pretty good first 3. Damon, your first pick in the 3rd round, who do you got?
I need a pilot, man. And arguably, the best pilot in all of Star Wars has already been taken, but not as a pilot. So, who is the best
Yeah.
pilot available? It's Han Solo.
Yeah, that's a
Nice.
good one.
Great pick. I was hoping he could maybe fall to me, just get that chemistry with Luke and get that chemistry with Ray. But
Could have done
that's
a
all right.
chemistry pick, but
Didn't
I could have done a chemistry pick. I
didn't make
decided
it
to
there.
go skill.
Didn't make it there. Good choice, Adam. We're back to you here.
I have to decide whether I want to pick who I think is the best pick, and if I want to spite you because you just kind of threw a shot at me right as you passed it off to yourself last time. And I think because you did that, I think I'm going to spite you, and I'm going to pick for one of my wild cards. I'm going to pick Sabine because I think that her and Cal both learning under Kanan would just be an absolutely incredible pick, and also because I know TJ was going to take Sabine with one of his next two picks. That's like 99% of the reason. All that other bullshit was like 1%. So I'm taking Sabine.
Great pick. Great pick. I was hoping to get Sabine here, but the fact that I can't, it's a-okay. I'm going to knock my pilot off of the board just because I feel like Adam is going to have a very tough time with pilot now that there's no Poe, there's no
Not worried.
there's no Han Solo. He can't use Anakin or Luke as a pilot. And so I'm going to roll with Harrison Dula, my third pick. You need leadership on your team. And being able to crack open some leadership in addition to her excellent pilot skills. I'm going to go...
Ahoy.
I'm going to go with Harrison Dula. And with my snake pick, in the spirit of leadership, I was planning on leaving this person till the end, kind of hoping everyone would forget because, you know, what category does this person fit in? I guess she's a force wielder, but not necessarily, we don't necessarily know her as a Jedi. And therefore, with my fourth pick, with a wild card, I'm going to keep things going with the Skywalkers, and I'm going Leia Organa.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I respect
You
that.
can have her.
Back to you, Adam.
I know. Yeah. So, you did out. That was who I was deciding. Like, when I said I was either going to pick who I thought was going to fill my team out the best or spite you, it was between Hera and Sabine, which I knew you would probably ideally have liked to have picked both of them.
That was going to be the snake.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of sticking with two of. I know my pilot will be available with my last pick, so I'm not even sweating about that. But I'm gonna stick with. I've already picked one character from the Fallen Order Jedi Survivor series. Somebody that I know Cal Kestis has a great relationship with already. An incredible force wielder that can now open portals and teleport people wherever they need to go. I'm going to take Marin off the board. Marin, great partnership with Cal. Also could use another great teacher with Kanan working alongside Sabine. We kind of got it like a group of teenagers. Kanan's got his work cut out for him for sure, but I think Sabine, Cal Kestis, and Marin is a really good foundation to get something done.
When we were talking about powerful force users who don't fit the category of Jedi who could be used as wild cards, and I said I might be thinking about the same person you are, and you were thinking about Bendu, who we decided from Star Wars Rebels. He's a little too close with the Force. He doesn't count. But I was thinking of Marin. Marin was the one in my thought process there that I thought could potentially go overlooked. Great pick. Damon, back to you.
Man, there's one Rebels character that nobody's said yet in this entire show. There's one that no one said a word on. And this little droid has the highest kill count, the best body count in the entire galaxy. Give me my war criminal Chopper.
It was coming. It was coming.
Great pick. Great pick. I love the chop pick. If I didn't take Leia off the board, I was gonna go with Chop in that one. Great pick. Layla, back to you. You got your final two picks of the draft. Who do you got as your last Wait, no, you got
No,
three.
I have one
You've only
more
done
after
three.
this.
Yeah, you got the
Yeah.
snake, and then you'll be the last pick. Sorry.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
do you got with your next two?
Well, I have Din on my team. So I think I need his child on my team. So as my Padawan, I'm gonna take Grogu.
I like it.
Okay?
I would accept Grogu as
I'm
a
devastated.
Padawan or a wild card. Which would you like to take him for?
He's my Padawan.
Padawan with Anakin Skywalker. I love it.
Listen.
The guy who slaughtered all the
Slaughtered
younglings
children.
is now gonna be part
Okay?
Jokes write
Let
themselves
them
here.
let them figure that shit out on their own, okay? He's cute. I want him on my team.
Calling Child
Anyways,
Protective Services on Layla right now.
Anakin finishes slashing through 50 different younglings, and then there's Grogu hammering the button. No.
No.
yeah. Listen,
I love it.
Grogu's a little shit, okay? Maybe Anakin needs to discipline him a bit. I don't know. Anyways, my snake pick, I picked Din's son. Now I need to pick Poe Dameron's son. So I'm gonna go for my droid pick, and I'm gonna go for BB-8. I'm so happy I got Beebs. He was my first choice of droid, and I'm very happy. I'm bringing the family together, guys. We're not fighting a war here. We're having a little family reunion, okay? It's all well and good in my team. I love my team.
If you are fighting in the trenches, who knows how long you're going to be away from everybody? Who knows how things are going to go? You need team chemistry. You need your team to get along,
Exactly.
and it's very important. I think that lines up very well. Damon, back to you. Who do you got with your 5th overall pick?
You know, this is kind of where I hit my wall when I was making my list, because I'm feeling pretty confident right now, but I need someone who could do a little bit of everything, you know? Not everyone's going to be available at every given moment. You need someone who can fill in a lot of different places at once. So, I know we're not looking at legends, but there is one character, canonically, who has beaten Master Yoda. And it's Plo Koon.
Oh, no way you just did that to me right there. That was going to be my pilot. Oh,
You can do it all, baby.
Oh, you just threw a wrench in
Unfortunately,
my
we
plans.
did say you can't take Jedi in the wild card spot, and you only have wild card spots remaining.
Whew, okay. That's a relief.
If we can't take Jedi in the
Damn.
wild cards, I mean, then what about Leia?
Well, that's why we made it. That's why we have to specify
Like-
that it's not specifically Jedi Order characters, and we don't use them. Think of her primarily as a Force user, but as a leader. Hence why Marin is okay as well.
Controversy.
You got me on a technicality.
Damon is
but
devastated.
On a
Right.
technicality, Damon thought he could come into
technicality.
his first draft and just
I will
do
play
whatever
the
the hell he
game,
wants.
though. Man, he just got scared of my team and threw that at me. We all saw it happen.
If I was
Fine.
Damon right now, I would have left this call. I can't lie.
Fine.
I mean, unless you want me to take Yoda as my last wild card pick, come on.
I mean, you could say Yoda as a hermit. All right. Definitely changing things up here on a power scale then. And I'm sure Adam, after me needing to put this aside, has just biggest sigh of relief. But we're talking about chemistry at this point. I'm going with Rex.
I like it. Rex
That's a
is
really
a great
good pick.
addition. One of the just most classic Star Wars animation characters. Does great in her rebellion. Rex, great character. Adam, back to you.
Well, because I only have 2 picks left, and before you completely took a shit on Damon's pick and I said what I was going to do, I don't want you to spite me after already spiting you. I think did we just lose Layla, by the way? She just said 2 minutes ago she was going to leave the call. Oh, there she is.
Oh my god.
But yeah, there is but one pilot who was viewed as somebody during the prequels that could keep up with Anakin Skywalker, and that's Plo Koon. So that's who I'm taking as my pilot. And I was not even remotely worried when you said I was in trouble. Wasn't like trying to take the pilot. Wasn't even remotely worried until Damon gave me a heart attack about 30 seconds ago.
Here's why. Here's in the spirit of talking more shit since you took Sabine from me. Let me tell you why that was a bad pick. Because all I have left is droid and wildcard. I can't take a Jedi as my wild card, and so you could have got Plo Koon with your next pick anyways. And there's a particular droid that would have fit really, really well with your team. And so, as payback for taking Sabine Wren, I'm gonna go with my second favorite droid in all of Star Wars. Very useful in a battle. I'm going BD1.
God damn it. Oh,
Nice.
man, that does hurt. I've got 2 droids that I'm okay with, but like, yeah, that
R2 would have fit my team a lot better, but I'm going with BD1 because I need those stim packs in the heat of
he
battle.
took down Darth Vader. He stabbed Darth Vader. I mean, BD1, yeah, formidable pick. Ugh.
With my very last pick here, I guess we need some muscle. I'm going to roll with Chewie with my last pick here. Fits well with Rey. Would have been nice to have him go with Han, but I'm going to go with Chewbacca as my final pick and my final wild card.
You know, I think I'm gonna throw. I'm not gonna take R2D2 here. Many of you that have watched Rogue One know about a very formidable and lovable droid, K2SO. I think he would be a perfect addition to the team. So rounding everything out, last pick, K2SO.
I like it, K2SO. Shout out to there was one more droid that I was thinking of considering if like somebody else just got BB-8 Chop and BD-1. I'm having trouble remembering her name right now, but Lando's droid. That's who I was considering with my initial team, the droid that became the navigational system inside the Millennium Falcon, which of course makes it fun. Indiana Jones, Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Harrison Ford, and he drives the and Han Solo drives the Millennium Falcon. Who's the Millennium Falcon's navigational system? It's Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So that's kind of fun.
IG-11 also would have been a good droid pick. He was on my board as well.
Yes.
IG-11 was
I didn't
another
even
one
think
I was
about
thinking.
him.
He'd go over extra well if you had Grogu on your team, because then not only do you get a droid, but you get a vehicle as well. Damon, your last pick in the draft, you need a wild card left. Who are you going with?
Going with someone who has wielded the Darksaber, Bo-Katan Kryze.
That was who I was torn between, Bo-Katan and Chewbacca, so great choice there. My initial team that I was hoping to get, what I was really hoping I could do was be just full girl squad and go Ahsoka, Rey, Hera, Lando's droid, whose name I don't remember, Bo-Katan, and Leia. That was the team I was hoping to put out when we began the draft. Great pick. Layla, the final pick in the draft. You need a wild card. How are you going to round out your team?
I know exactly who I'm going to pick, but I would like to do some honorable mentions. I say honorable mention. I've just thought of these now. Boba and Fennec would make great team members for any team. Any situation they're put in, they would slay. I would like to point out that before this draft started, about an hour before it started, I made a list of people I wanted to draft, and I put one name in each category. I have got all of those names, and that is staying true to my last pick. My last wild card is going to be Cassian Andor. I love that man. He is just an exceptionally written character. The show Andor is great. Rogue One is one of my favorite Star Wars projects ever. So Cassian will round off my team, and I'm very happy with all my picks.
That's a great pick too.
This has been, I think, one of the most even across the board drafts we've had in a really long time. I like everybody's team, and I think we did a great job. And a few other honorable mentions out there. We got the Bad Batch. Really, any one of them. I was considering Hunter instead of Chewbacca. Hunter, Chewbacca, and Bo-Katan were kind of the three I was going with there. The Armorer would have been a fun one to go with.
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon as a master, probably the best master of Jedi that we've seen, at least from the movies. I'd say
up there.
Qui-Gon is the one that of the 9 movies, I'd say he was the best Jedi master in terms of teacher that we have seen. So that would have been a really strong one as well. My team is Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, Jedi Apprentice Rey Skywalker, Pilot Hera Syndulla, Droid BD-1, with wildcards Leia Organa and Chewbacca. Adam has got Kanan Jarrus and Cal Kestis as his Force wielders, Plo Koon as his pilot, K2SO as his droid, Sabine Wren and Marin, the Night Sister, as his wildcard picks. I think Marin as a wildcard is just such a strong pick. I wanted to get her. Layla, with every single person she wanted to get. She's got Anakin Skywalker, Grogu, Poe Dameron, BB-8, Din Djarin, and Cassian Andor. And finally, Damon with my favorite character, his favorite character, Ahsoka Tano, Ezra Bridger as her apprentice, Han Solo as the pilot, Chop as his droid, the war criminal, the best droid in the game, Captain Rex, and Bo-Katan Kryze to round things out. That was a hell of a draft. I really enjoyed this one. We're going to be posting the draft results on the Agents of Fandom socials, and so make sure you vote on them there. And if you missed our first half of our Ahsoka primer, where, of course, this week we focused on the Rebels. Last week, it was on Ahsoka and Grand Admiral Thrawn with Thomas Carter Rochester. So make sure you check out that episode as well. Next week, it's not only is it Ahsoka time, where we're going to be breaking down the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka on the 2-episode premiere of Disney+, but also, it's not just 2 episodes of Ahsoka, it's 2 episodes of the Agents of Fandom podcast, where not only are we going to have our review of the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka, but we will also have our Blue Beetle review. Ruben is going to be joining us from behind the scenes. Ruben's going to be on camera. And we also got on there Agent Carlos joining us for that one as well. It's going to be a lot of fun, so make sure you tuned in. It debuted with a 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, one of the highest rated DC film in a long time. So I'm very excited about that one. We got tons of great Blue Beetle content up at agentsoffandom.com right now. Ryan, our social media whiz, has just been going ham on the Blue Beetle content, so make sure you check that out. Damon, before we get out of here, talk to me about the Comic Corner, because this is legit stupid how this show has just exploded. Because you started things off of just being like, yeah, I'm going to see if I have any friends and we're just going to talk comics because, you know, we love talking comics. I read comics all the time. And you have had not just 1 or 2, but several of the very largest comic creators in the industry on your show. So give us some plugs.
Man, it's been wild. We've had Eisner Award-winning writer Kelly Thompson. We've had Eisner Award-winning writer Chip Zdarsky. We have had the current Avengers writer in Jed McKay, who has also written one of my favorite series of recent years, which is the Black Cat series. We have also had on some folks from comicbook.com, like your favorites, Matthew Aguilar, Kofi Outlaw. It's been
You didn't say
nuts,
my favorite.
man.
It's Nicole.
And Nicole Drum. And Nicole, who I had on fairly recently, where we just talked about our favorite comics of the year. It's been wild, man. We're going back to a little bit of our indie roots, bringing up some good indie writers locally near me. So we're doing a lot. We're doing a little bit of everything, and it's been nuts.
And the host of our podcast, Fandom Academy, where they cover not only the biggest movies and shows out there, but also the hard-hitting topics in pop culture. Typically, you know, we got Taylor Swift, who is probably the most popular being in pop culture right now, as well as some WWE and all kinds of fun, crazy stuff. Layla, talk to me about Fandom Academy. Where can the people find the show, and what do you guys got coming up?
Yeah, I host Fandom Academy with my two besties, CJ and Jaden. We started back in January, and I think all three of us are just so happy with how it's going, and we just love recording together. It's just a great time. We go off topic a lot, but some of the main things out is, like you said, a lot of Taylor Swift, and we've recently been talking about Heartstopper and even more Taylor Swift news that's coming out, and just any film and TV that we've been watching recently. So, and we've had some fun guests on recently too, and we've definitely got more plans for the coming weeks, especially with Ahsoka coming out. We're going to have a lot of fun content coming also, like across the podcast and across the site. There's going to be so much coming. But yeah, you can find us on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere like that, and follow us on all our socials as well. And yeah, stream Speak Now Taylor's version and get yourselves ready for 1989 Taylor's version. It's coming. It's here. The era is here. Get excited about it. We're going to have a lot of fun content surrounding it. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Obi-Wan and Sonic love the Fandom Academy podcast. That is
Yeah.
why they were so excited as Layla talked about it. And I mean, I was going to say lately, but it's really just always. Adam is kind of consistently not only one of the best editors, but just on a review writing tear. I mean, he may disagree with the Meg doing so well at the Meg 2 doing so well at the box office, but you can find Adam's Meg 2 review, Gran Turismo review, all within this last little bit up at the website. And additionally, Adam, you got this really cool project coming up that you've planned out that I want to give you a chance to talk about as well, with a wonderful review starting with Iron Man.
Yeah, so like you just said, the Iron Man review, but then again, it's a little bit more than that. We also dive into the legacy, the everlasting legacy that Iron Man has had on the industry that we are a part of. Like, without Iron Man, it's not even hyperbole to say without Iron Man, the four of us are not sitting here talking about the things that we're talking about now. So that film is incredibly important, and then also some fun facts tacked onto the end. You guys can find that up on agentsoffandom.com. But I'm going to be going through every Infinity Saga movie, all 23 of them, starting with Iron Man and going all the way to. It's always instinct to say Endgame, but then I forget that Far From Home is technically the end of the Infinity Saga. So from Iron Man all the way to Far From Home, the plan right now is once a week, usually on either Wednesday or Thursday nights. Deep dive reviews with some fun facts and all kinds of stuff going on in between. Once a week, and next week we got the Incredible Hulk. So not quite as influential and as exciting as writing about Iron Man, the first Iron Man, but we're gonna have a lot of fun with this thing. I mean, this is gonna be almost a 6-month long process, and then I just want to, I've talked enough about that. I just want to say, like, everybody keep an eye out for Layla's review of Ahsoka coming soon. TJ, your review of one of the episodes. CJ's review of one of the episodes. Everybody's doing an incredible job with everything, all the articles and stuff. Everybody's working so hard and doing a great job. So check out the agentsoffandom.com. Great articles for anything you could ever be interested in. I promise you. If you're interested in it, we're covering it. I promise.
And lots of great stuff on the podcast network as well. Not just Agents Fandom and Fandom Academy, but also Ticket to Reality, Listen 3000, in addition to our eventually returning after the strikes are over, Cinema Sibs, in addition to our wonderful YouTube shows, Comic Corner and The Critics. Before we get out of here, Damon, you looked like you had one more thing to add, so I'll throw it back to you. It better be important, otherwise I'm going to be pissed.
Adam, I was just going to say I need a counter on that Incredible Hulk review with the amount of times you see feet.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it. At the end, we'll have a little feet counter at the end. I'll keep track of it. So everybody be on the lookout for that, for the feet counter.
Could have easily been a DM instead of said on the podcast. But that'll do it for this edition of the Agents of Fandom podcast. We will be back twice wet next week, talking Blue Beetle, talking Ahsoka. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. On behalf of myself, TJ Zwarich, our wonderful drafters, Layla, Adam, Damon, and of course, Ruben, behind the scenes, doing his amazing work producing as per usual. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone, and we will see you next week. Peace.